Separation equals connection. This is something that when I first heard it, my therapist told me, there's a part of me that was like, what do you mean? I couldn't understand it. I didn't quite fathom it. And you might be sitting there and listening to this and thinking maybe you would have felt the same. Separation equals connection. It doesn't quite roll off the tongue logically or emotionally. So what I'm going to do is break it down. To me, based on my conditioning, I never wanted to be separate. Because if I created too much distance with somebody, it meant that I wasn't good enough. It meant that I didn't matter. It meant that I maybe was unlovable. Now that started very, very long ago. And now, it still shows up. So the opposite was always true for me. I have to make sure I stay close in order to have connection. Now there's a part of me that long ago learned that he needed to be needed. And if he wasn't needed, then his worth was in question. And then he would feel shame. Shame being these messages that are very old. I'm not good enough, I don't matter, I'm unlovable. That's mine. Yours might be something similar. I'm powerless, I'm insignificant, I'm unimportant. The list goes on. That shame that wells inside me is something that I want to run away from, I want to escape, I want to do whatever it takes to not be that. So, I will reach, attempt at pulling them back so that I can be okay. So whenever there's a rupture, whenever there's a disconnect, whenever there is a threat to me in my system, whether they don't understand me, whether they don't see me, is its alert system will go up and I will not be able to handle that disconnect because I'll feel left, lost, abandoned, rejected. So the idea of separation equals I'm unworthy to that little boy. And from that little boy became a more concrete and concrete and concrete experience. So in full, therein lies my codependency. Codependency is like, instead of giving someone your jacket to keep them warm, it's like lighting yourself on fire to keep them warm. You will do whatever it takes to keep them warm. Because what's at stake is, if you can do that, then you are enough. You are worthy. This is the role of a codependent. And I got really, really good at that. This is also why I'm a therapist, right? From the Batman story, the origins of this, in needing to be needed, I learnt how to survive by meeting others' needs, being the best, being the go-to, being the party guy, just so I was loved and cared for. So I got my worth externally. So when my couples therapist started to break down some of the incidences that I have with my fiance, is when there's an issue, whether it's functional or dysfunctional, I don't want to separate because I believe that separation will mean that I'm left. And that's a scary place for me. So, let me break this down, but hopefully it's starting to make a little bit of sense. Because the idea is, if I can separate myself from somebody else's experience, then maybe it will mean that we can reconnect. It means that we can come back together. If I don't know how to tie my shoelaces and somebody else keeps tying them for me, what does it stop me from doing? Them from doing? That's right. It stops them from learning how to tie their shoelaces. So when someone else is in their mess, in their experience, in their resistance, in their annoyance at me or shutting down or whatever it might be, I don't want that to happen for them. So I come over and I try and make it stop. I reach, I pursue, I do all these controlling behaviors to make sure that they aren't in disconnection from me anymore. But that stops them from learning how to tie their shoe. It also means that there's no separation. It means that my side of the street and their side of the street is one and the same. Now, it don't work like that. This is mine over here, and then this beautiful line separates us, and then yours is over here, right? These are boundaries. That's your stuff. This is my stuff. And when you're in your stuff over here, that's your side of the street. When I'm in my stuff over here, that's my side of the street. But if I have an experience where long ago, and I say if it's hysterical, it's historical, that I was wounded, the wounded child. Now, when I was very young, I didn't have the emotional nurturance that I needed. So what ended up happening is I then learned that I need to find it somewhere else. So this wound was so becoming an opening that I felt very exposed, less than. This is where not good enough started to develop itself. Now, no one wants to feel that. So what naturally happens? We defend and we protect. Herein lies the adaptation, the teen, I like to call it, where no one wants to stay wounded, so we'll get a defender, a protector that comes out and starts doing what they can to make sure we're not wounded. For me, people pleasing, controlling, masking, perfecting, obsessing, right? All these different behaviors that would mean that I didn't have to experience the wound reopening, being left, abandoned, rejected, not good enough. So I learned, what do I need to do? How do I need to show up? What's going to get my worth? Where am I going to get it from? Because it definitely wasn't coming from within. What did that little boy need? He needed to be held. He needed to be seen, and he needed to be understood. Now that wasn't as available, so we adapt, right? Hoping that makes sense. Now, if we put separation in the mix, is when there was separation for this little boy, he felt very wounded. I don't know what to do with this. I don't like this feeling. I'm feeling powerless, helpless, and unable to do anything. I'm too small, little, powerless. Long walks the adapter. He comes in and goes, no. We're going to fight for the connection. We're going to do whatever it takes. And one way I look at this is like, the love languages, there's 5. You can research them. I'm not going to go through every single one of them because I always forget one. But instead of finding out what the one love language that my partner would need to feel loved, I just do all 5. Because if I did all 5, then I can't miss. Lo and behold, though, that would take up a lot of energy. And while I'm doing all 5, I'm really not attuning to them, missing the mark. So I do whatever it takes to get that connection back. My body wouldn't be able to contain itself unless there was that repair, unless there was that controlled environment. So how it works is this wounded boy felt out of control. So what did this teenage, the adaptation, do? Control. In lots of really different ways. People pleasing is a bit of control. Being able to stop someone from having their emotional experiences and fix their problem is a form of control, right? So I would just do what it took to make sure that I could be okay. Because I couldn't handle not being in connection. I would lose me. I'd be out of control. So separation equals connection. Don't make any sense to me. Until I get into a relationship where I start to be safe enough to heal some of these wounds. And it gets more and more clear and makes more and more sense. Is when I create a little bit of space, then they can be in their experience. They can have their side of the street move and shift and change. Then they are in a different energy, and they can come back to you. So as long as you can also separate, look after you, knowing that all the warning signs are coming off, and connect to you, then you can move in with them. And then we reconnect. This makes sense in relationship, but I want to also make it make sense internally as well. If this guy, controlling teen, comes forward to try and regain the connection because they've got that fucking fear around separation occurring, partner's walked off. Unless I create separation between that teen and me, my functional, authentic self, he's going to go for it. He's going to find his way back to connection in whatever way he can. Positive or negative, mostly negative, right? Stop doing that. It's all going to be okay. Just listen to me. Don't walk away from me, blah, 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 blah. Controlling, just don't cry, don't feel, blah, 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 blah. Whatever it might be, there's lots of different scenarios. But the teenager is Gonskis. He's on. He's in charge. He's leading. Now, internally, if I don't create separation between the part of me, the teen in control, and authentic me, who logically knows that I'm not being abandoned, I'm an adult, and she's just in her stuff on her side of the street, then I'm in trouble. So what I have to do is create a little bit of separation and make sense and compassion for this part of me is starting to feel abandoned. That's old. It's so old. It's literally my wounds and trying to protect my wounds, right? If I can create separation and understand that this is big and I totally get it, then I can stay in control in a healthy way and just go, hey, I know you're really angry right now and you want to reach and pursue, or I know you're really scared right now and you want to get the connection back, but I've got you. I'll protect you. I'll look after you. That separation allows to be able to connect to this part of me. So again, if I create separation with the parts of me that are really scared, really triggered, activated, or shutting down, then I can meet them in that pain, in that fear, that loneliness, in their shame, and reparent so they can be okay. That only happens when we create separation between our parts and our true self. Let me give you an example that I worked through with one of my clients just here. Now, she has 2 kids. One of them, younger boy, likes to sort of go quiet and go inside and internally into himself, shuts down when he's overwhelmed. The other one gets hyperactive, wants to control, wants to figure out how to get to the solution, and wants to make everything go away and be fine. 2 different experiences from 2 different children. Then we've got the parent who has to deal with both of these kids. One's a teenager and one's a boy, little boy. This scenario, we've got some traffic and they've decided to go out into the middle area, right? What do you call that? I guess the intersection or curb where that is not a green light to get all the way across. So now cars are going this way, cars are going this way. It's not safe to cross. We start to be in an overwhelming, intense experience. So what happens? This little boy, when he's overwhelmed, starts to shut down, starts to go inside of himself, starts to switch off and go numb. So he can't move. He's in danger and he's shut down, he's frozen. Fight, flight, freeze kicks in, he's frozen, he's shut down. So he's stuck here. Yep. The teen is over here, also triggered, activated, trying to figure out how to get to safety. So again, it's just like this. Wounded, adapted. This teenager then kicks into gear and go, we need to just get to the other side of the road. She thinks we should just run across and risk it. even though there's cars coming. Now, she's starting to get really overwhelmed in an activated way, where she's like, we need to change this situation. We need to fix the problem. We need to get to the other side of the street. That means we'll be safe. Okay? So we got one that wants to run, one that's shut down and frozen, right? Fight, flight, freeze. And we've got mum. Mum's in the middle holding their hands. Now, what's going to happen if she does not create separation? You know, she's going to get pulled by one and stopped by the other. So what I mean by this in terms of the nervous system is if she is influenced by this experience or this experience, then she potentially has no boundaries, has no her side of the street, it's funny in this diagram, where she can separate between their experience and her experience. Meaning she's going to potentially run with the fight or flight experience or get stuck and shut down. So she might meet this teen in anger, don't run, you know, rah, rah, rah. So she's already too far gone. She's also in that tough experience, just matching what that girl's bringing, right? Or she goes, oh, we're really scared, he's really scared, I can't contain myself now, I'm freaking out. And I'm shutting down as well. Do you see how no needs are going to get met? And there's definitely when in no safer situation. This is big. This is a diagram of a scenario that one happens, but two uses as a metaphor to when you've got your little wounded who's feeling out of control, shut down and collapsed. And on the other side, you've got your teen who's trying everything to control the situation, run, perfect, overachieve, overwork, overfunction, do more, do more, do more. They are both trying to lead you. They're trying to climb up here and embody this experience to get to safety. At the end of the day, they're both trying to protect themselves. They're both trying to defend themselves. One knows how to do it by shutting down, staying small, and collapsing. The other knows how to do it by adapting, figuring out how do we change the situation and finding a way to safety in a different way. So, what do? Unless we create separation, we have no ability to create connection. We have no ability to actually create safety to be able to guide towards a better experience, towards the end of this and an actual solution. So I don't need it to be experienced by literal children that are small kids of mine. I look at it as the functionality of me as a whole system, because I do have a little teen in me who wants to control, as I said at the start. I also have a wound in hating being out of control and being left and potentially not loved, right? When those two things are present, or one's more stronger or louder than the other, normally this, if I'm influenced too much by them, they become me. There's no connection, it's just an attempt at trying to survive. But if I can parent, and I use parent as a very important word because we need to reparent these scared parts of us and give them what they needed in order to create change, in order to come back to connection. So, what does the parent do? In this situation and within ourselves, the authentic, functional adult that's in an environment where the conditioning parts are speaking out, being noisy. We've got to meet them where they are. For this little boy, that little boy who's super scared, I know you're really scared. I know this is really, really hard, but I'm here and I'm going to be with you. And the safest things for us to do is really sit in this and then find a way to move. But I'm going to hold your hand and we're going to go through it together the whole time. But that's going to be scary. You know, what if we get hurt? I've got you. I'm going to be able to show up for you and I'm going to be able to support you. And the more that we build trust, the more that that little boy will eventually start listening more and more. The other one is, I know how hard you've been working. I know how clear it is that you think that running across the road is going to be the safest thing and get us to the solution. I get that you've had to do that for a really long time because I potentially haven't been there, giving you a different experience. So you've always protected, controlled, people-pleased, overextended yourself, overachieved, knuckled down, been super functional, perfectionist, whatever it might be, because that's how you thought we'd survive. But I'm here, and there is another way, and you can lay down your shield, because I'm gonna not just parent you, but then I'm gonna parent the wound within us, so you don't have to fight so hard to make sure that that wound doesn't get exposed. So then I've created separation. My nervous system isn't just joining theirs, and I'm able to hold their hands and walk with them across the road in a safe way when the time is right, based on the environment. Hopefully this metaphor is making sense, but what I want it to really be is think about how it works in your relationship. Where is it potentially disguised as something that's good, where actually it might not be good? That is this something that also wasn't true for you, and now maybe can be. If I can separate myself and look after myself, then that's the best way for me to come back into connection. If I don't meet me in these really difficult parts that always show up, then they're going to attempt to get the connection and not be left and, missed and abandoned, but it actually ends up with more disconnection. I'll tell you from first-hand experience, my partner's overwhelmed. I don't want her to be overwhelmed. So I come in here and I say, just don't do this, and I try and fix the problem while I'm overwhelmed because she's overwhelmed. I can't remove myself in that situation because little teen in me hates that this is in this experience and wants it to stop. So I need to create separation and be with that part of me that's like, we're going to get left. This just means she doesn't understand us. Go and fight to be understood. Get angry. Why aren't you doing anything? And then I sit with him or her, whatever that experience is for you, and be in the powerlessness, because all they want to do is control. All they want to do is be safe. All they want to do is protect, survive, defend. When we reparent, this is possible because we're connecting to ourselves and then we're open to connect with others. So separation means I'm not so over-involved and enmeshed in the experience with another or the experience with my resistance and the parts that are very, very old. If this is something that lands, let me know. If this is something that you want to deep dive in even more as a therapist, then I teach this in Authenticate. We teach how to work with clients in this way that allows so much freedom when we become more and more okay with our parts, with compassion, getting acutely aware of how this operates, and then intuitively protecting ourselves. If that's something you're interested in, you can have a look at our latest free trainings in the link below and really deep dive even further on what this gets to be like and what true connection to self means, and then how I can hold that and lead others. See you on the next one.